Guys, this video is brought to you by our friends at Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for anyone who loves learning and wants to learn new skills. Right now, Skillshare is offering my audience the opportunity to explore their entire class library completely free for 1 month. Everyone has a different goal in mind when joining Skillshare. What is yours? I just finished my first class, How to Organize Your Workflow to Maximize Productivity by Ali Abdal. Each lesson was short, engaging, and loaded with helpful information. I loved it. Interested in making a career pivot or up-leveling your skills in your current role? There are classes that match your goals and your interests. New premium classes launch each week, so there's always something new to discover. The first 1,000 people to click on the link below are going to get a month free of Skillshare, so there's no risk. Try it right now. All right, let's go back to the rumor mill here, but if this rumor is true, it's sure going to explain a lot. I'm talking about Chimaev. Report came out, quite frankly, it was light on details, and it was equally as light on credible sources, but the story went like this. Chimaev can't get into the U.S. because he has visa issues. Okay, let's just say that something like that is what's going on. That would explain a lot, wouldn't it, guys? Because we don't know where in the hell this guy is or what in the hell the holdup is. It looks like, and it's believed by our industry, that Chimaev's going to be fighting Gilbert Burns in April, but that's all done by them on Twitter, and some dirt sheet picked it up and ran with it. And the rest of us, myself included, just keep repeating and perpetuating it. There was a rumor that had come out weeks ago that has absolutely no truth, that Chimaev was in the hot seat with USADA. And even though that rumor wasn't true, it was very hard to dispel and dismiss that completely because it was one explanation as to why nothing's happening with Chimaev. We don't even have an opponent. We don't even have a date. We don't even have we have nothing. And that was real easy for a period of time when nobody wanted to fight him. You could cover the whole story just by saying that. Because there's a whole lot of steps, and if you're missing one of the steps, okay, there's your answer. It doesn't mean there's not more steps behind that step. But as soon as somebody named Neil Magny came out, backed by Blahal Muhammad, add Jeff Neal to the mix, put Vincente Luque in there, Gilbert Burns to the point that it got reported, now all of a sudden you can't say nobody wants to fight him anymore. Now we got to get a little bit closer to the answer, which is where the nasty rumor of USADA came out, which is not true. This explains a lot. I tend to believe it. Now, I don't believe it because I have any evidence. I don't even believe it because I was told by a good source. I tend to believe we're getting closer to what's going on just because it would make sense. Something is obviously amiss with Chimaev. Now, I don't know how that would work because he has been to the U.S., he has fought in the U.S., and therefore his visa would still be good the way that I understand visas. He would have had to have done something to revoke that right. And even if we got to that point, we still got an island that he can get to. And right now, he's currently in Thailand training. I have that from a YouTube link of him in the gym that represented it was yesterday. You guys know how the internet works. It could have been done a year ago. It could have been done 2 years ago, and somebody puts it out and says that was yesterday. But I believed it. I believe those things. I'm not a big conspiracy guy, and I think he's in Thailand. I think he's training. And by the way, he's training his ass off. I went and watched one Chimaev video. I went right to the next video, to the next. They had him in the weight room. This exercise that he was doing, it's endurance more than it is for weight. You start with the bar. It's all the way pulled up. He's got 135 pound on the bar. First he does a clean, and then he goes a press, and he just keeps doing that to exhaustion. I watched him doing sprints, by the way, with other guys, and he blew them. It turns out he's very fast on top of it. I watched him grappling and doing jiu-jitsu. Turns out he's very crafty and tricky, and not to mention that calmness that he showed in his fight where he picked the guy up, had a conversation with Dan. I think he called out Brock Lesnar and then slammed the guy to the ground and finished him, and that was a top 10 guy. He had that same lighthearted attitude in training. He just looked like one of those guys that can't get tired. Very intimidating. If you are dealing with a guy who has a huge cardio base, particularly one that you fear could be greater than yours, it is the single most intimidating thing that any fighter has to deal with. That's why fighters work so hard. They just try to take that away. Commission will stop him from bringing in a stick. I've got to do my part to stop from him being able to go harder, longer than I do. And Chimaev just looks like one of these guys. One of those guys. And these are quick clips, but I'm watching a whole bunch of them. And I know where you're at on a clip. Like I know guys that try to doctor a clip, like take Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua, who will pretend, he'll just pretend for that 5 seconds like he's doing a real hard workout, but you look at him, there's not a drip of sweat on his whole body. The gym is nice and orderly, it's put together. If you don't see empty water bottles on a floor in the background, if you don't see tape that's been ripped off somebody's hands, if you don't see a towel or two, right? If the gym looks clean, the shot is fake. Chimaev was exhausted, his heart rate is up, he's dripping in sweat, and he's still pushing in these videos. So I'm just getting a little bit of a different sense of something very special is going on here. And then I read the piece about the visa, which I have no evidence of, but I think we're now getting closer. I knew it wasn't USADA from Jump Street because I violated personally every USADA rule they've ever had, and I know my own. And he's not in the club. But that rumor was still out there, and it was being used to explain why there's a delay in booking him. But this is a better explanation. And I don't know enough about visas. I know that he did have one. I know that it should not be expired. And I also know if he can't get to the U.S., we've got other arenas. But something is going on. And I don't know how badly you'd want to take a guy to another arena, build him up if you know you're just going to have this problem tomorrow, which is getting him back to the mainland. So there's a little bit of a problem. Problems come up every single day. This is a little bit of one for right now. Chimaev is safe, according to YouTube. He's working his ass off. That's according to me. I saw it. Does he got Gilbert Burns? Is that going to go down in April? I think the only way that we'll know, or at least I think what the next clue to April, Gilbert Burns versus Chimaev is going to be, is if Gilbert Burns gets booked with somebody else. And I don't think Gilbert Burns should be getting in there with Chimaev. I never liked that fight. It was the one guy I don't want to fight Chimaev. I don't think that Gilbert Burns' only reward for doing every bit of hard lifting in that division is that he just gets to do more hard lifting. I just don't think that. That's personal. And Gilbert Burns does have an opportunity right now. I don't think he's going to take it. The opportunity is to go find another opponent, start to get loud. Chimaev couldn't come together, sidestep it that way, move on to the next one. I don't think Gilbert's going to take that. I think Gilbert has too much pride. It's not just that Chimaev hasn't been booked with anybody. We now have a potential opponent in a potential month of April who also hasn't been booked with anybody, which brings you one step closer to thinking somebody's at least trying to get those two together.